Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with a topic of cardiovascular system, and the name of the topic is congestive heart failure. Although this congestive heart failure itself defines the type of disorder we are going to discuss, here the term failure is being used. So the failure of a heart has to do with the fact that the heart performing its specific function is not able to perform the functions which are required from him. That is, the cardiac output of the heart may increase or may decrease to a certain level, that the output is not sufficient to come up or to cope up with the body requirements. That is what we are defining as congestive heart failure. Let us look into the definition of heart failure and congestive heart failure. Heart failure, it is defined as the insufficiency of the heart to pump sufficient amount of oxygenated blood to the organ to meet the metabolic demand and to collect the blood from the organs. So it has two, basically it's defining it is an insufficiency. The heart failure is related to the word insufficiency, that is, the heart is not capable or is now in a state that it is not able to supply whatever amount of blood that was required by a particular organ or the all sets of organ. Next, we want to discuss about the congestive heart failure. Now, what is congestive heart failure? It is a complex clinical syndrome, although it can be related to the cardiac failure. But here why we are saying it as a complex clinical syndrome, because the reason why heart fails has lot of reasons behind it, and multi-organ failure or multiple reasons are responsible for it. So clinical syndrome characterized by abnormalities of left ventricular failure, that is, the left ventricle will function properly and neurohormonal regulation is dysfunctional, which are accompanied by effort intolerance, fluid retention and reduced longevity. That is, now the age of the heart has been reshuffled, or the age of the heart has now been reduced. So it is a complex clinical syndrome. What is complex clinical syndrome? It is a clinical syndrome which is complexed by multiple symptoms or diseases underlying it, and what is the place from where the complete cardiac output comes from is the left ventricle, of course. So left ventricular insufficiency is related to congestive heart failure. So heart failure itself defines, that is, insufficiency of the heart to pump, whereas congestive heart failure is related to a clinical syndrome having multiple reasons behind the heart failure. Now discussing about its pathophysiology, which is more important. The role of the circulatory system is to supply oxygenated blood to the peripheral organ of our body according to the metabolic demands of the organ. This supply that is being done by the heart also has a capacity to get varied. Suppose if the demand of that particular organ is more, then the cardiac output might increase. So it has this ability, that is, heart to have an ability to increase its heart rate and also to increase the cardiac output. Distribution of oxygenated blood depends on the cardiac output. So obviously the cardiac output is the amount of blood pumped per stroke, that is the product of stroke volume and the number of times the heart beats per minute and mean arterial pressure. So what is happening, that is, if suppose you are at the stage of rest, then the amount of blood required by a particular organ in our body would be different or would be less as compared to when your body is at work. Suppose if you are running, you are walking fast, so the amount of blood required by a particular muscle which is in action would be more as compared to that in the state of rest. Mean arterial pressure is the sum of product of cardiac output and systemic vascular resistance and central venous pressure. So we are all adding, it's a sum of three things: cardiac output, systemic vascular resistance, and central venous pressure. So now congestive heart failure can be termed by collective symptoms of various complex ailments such as, now as I said, it is syndrome and having multiple factors underlying it. So first is angina, diabetes mellitus, hypertension, ventricular tachycardia, hyperthyroidism, anemia, and at many times you see myocardial infarction. Now, in one or the other way, they are somewhat responsible for development of congestive heart failure, and we'll look how these are the contributing factors. So if you can see this, the classification of congestive heart failure has been shown to you. The classification is based on two things, that is the amount of cardiac output, and other is the position of heart failure, or the location of heart failure, or the part of the heart which is not functioning properly. So the amount of cardiac output can be again divided in two parts. The congestive heart failure due to low cardiac output, whereas congestive heart failure due to high cardiac output. Now this is quite surprising that we have been studying about congestive heart failure, and we have been saying that the heart reduces its cardiac output, but sometimes it's very rare to find this type of condition where the cardiac output is high and it's not able to compensate the body need. Whereas the position of the heart, you can divide it in two parts, left-sided and right-sided cardiac failure. That is, the heart has two sides, you can divide it into two parts, that is the right heart and the left heart. So if the left heart gets affected, it is the left-sided failure, whereas if the right side fails, it is the right-sided failure. Now, to an explanation based on the amount of cardiac output, we divided or we classified congestive heart failure in two types, that is low cardiac output and high cardiac output. Now let us first discuss about the low cardiac output failure, which turns out to be the most frequently or commonly found congestive heart failures. As it's written, it is the most common form of congestive heart failure. The metabolic demand of the body organs are normal, within limits, but the heart fails. So it's not like your stomach or your liver is asking for more blood now. No, their demands are as normal for a normal human being, but now your heart is not able to supply the sufficient amount of blood which is required by a particular organ. It fails to pump sufficient amount of oxygenated blood to the organ of the body. The primary cause of left cardiac output failure is ventricular systolic, low cardiac output failure. No, it's not left, it's low cardiac output failure is the ventricular systolic dysfunctional and ventricular diastolic dysfunction. So somewhere the ventricles are getting affected because they are responsible for the pulmonary output or the systemic output. And what is happening here is there is both the systolic and the diastolic dysfunctions are present. Now to elaborate the systolic dysfunction and the diastolic dysfunction, what we have here is myocardial infarction weakens the muscle of ventricles and make them inefficient to pump the required volume of blood. Now let us move back 2 slides back, where we have termed congestive heart failure to be a complex of following disease. And as you can see, myocardial infarction is present. Now what is myocardial infarction? That is, the word is quite explanatory. Myo here means the muscles, cardial is referring to the cardiac muscle, infarction is the death of the muscle due to lack of oxygen supply or lack of blood being supplied to that particular portion. Now what happens in myocardial infarction is that the area where this occurs, the muscles related to that area would die. And obviously if the heart is made up of muscles, and if a particular muscle of a particular area won't function, then the strength of that particular chamber, or I can say that part of the heart, will not remain the same. It will rather reduce. And the reduction in the power or the pumping capacity of that particular chamber of heart will lead to heart failure. That is, the heart won't be able to pump as much amount of blood which is required. Now, someone might correlate myocardial infarction somewhere is related to diabetes mellitus and hypertension, as both of them are risk factors. Now, ventricular diastolic dysfunction. Hypertrophy is responsible for the stiffening of heart muscle, whereas here the myocardial infarction was responsible. The stiffened muscle of the ventricle failed to relax during the diastoles and cannot collect sufficient amount of blood. This ultimately results in low cardiac output. See, somewhere all these events are interlinked. You need to understand this part. As a part where the cardiac output has been lowered due to myocardial infarction. Now, as a part of compensatory mechanism which is being followed by the cardiac muscle, what will happen is that the muscles of that particular chamber, in this case it's the ventricle, the ventricles of muscle will enlarge, and that enlargement will lead into stiffening of muscle. So one phenomena, this one will lead into the other phenomena. That is, dysfunction of systole can lead into dysfunction of diastole also. Now comes the high cardiac output failure. It occurs very rarely. As I said, it's very rare to find. Hyperthyroidism, anemia and anteriovenous shunt enhances the metabolic demand of the body by myocardial oxygen, which cannot be met even by increased pumping action of heart. So it is a point of comparison that we have. Low cardiac output failure, it's very frequent, whereas high cardiac output failure is very rare. Here the metabolic demand of the body organ is normal, whereas the metabolic demand of body organ is high. Here the reason for low cardiac output failure is not some ailment in the heart, whereas here, in low cardiac output the ailment is in the heart, either it is myocardial infarction or hypertrophy of the heart, whereas here that is due to the excessive demand or some shunt developed in the body, due to which the heart tries to compensate or fulfill the increased metabolic need of the organ, but it fails. We'll continue with the other classifications of left and right cardiac failure, and also we'll see into the mechanism related to cardiac output and its measurement. That is, what are the Starling's law. Also we'll see the preload and afterload concept, but we'll see that in the next session of congestive heart failure. Thank you.